Human pets galaxy's deadliest predator, and it obeys. The air on Nexara 7 hums with a low electric buzz like the planet itself is holding its breath. This isn't your typical lush blue-green world. No, Nexara 7 is a quarantine rock, a barren wasteland of jagged obsidian cliffs and violet skies that shimmer with radiation haze. Orbiting it is Outpost Vinara, a fortress of cold steel and flickering holograms run by the Galathar Pact, a coalition of alien species who've seen it all, or so they thought. Inside the outpost's primary observation dome, a holographic alert pulses red, its warning looping in a dozen alien tongues. But the man standing before it doesn't flinch. Meet Jackson Cade, human cultural liaison, late 30s with a scruffy beard and eyes that carry the kind of spark you get from staring into too many star fields. He's not a soldier, not a scientist, just a guy who's good at talking to people, or in this case, things that aren't people at all. Jackson adjusts his jacket, the kind with too many pockets, and squints at the hologram. It's a creature floating in the center of the room, projected in flawless detail. 6 muscular limbs folded like a spider's, tipped with claws that could shred titanium. Fur teal and iridescent catches the light like liquid metal. Its face almost canine with sensory crests that flop like ears and a mouth that's just a little too wide. It's the size of a small shuttle and it looks serene, too serene. Across from Jackson sits Ambassador Silas Vren, a diplomat of the Galathar Pact. Silas is a sight 7 feet tall with bioluminescent skin that's gone from soft cyan to a sickly gray. Their 3-fingered hands tremble and the slits along their neck flare like gills in a storm. You're telling me, Jackson says, pointing at the hologram, that this is the most dangerous predator in the galaxy. His voice is casual, but there's a glint in his eye, like he's already poking at the edges of something forbidden. Silas's eyes, 4 of them, glowing like embers, snap to Jackson. Do not jest human, that is a starfang. It eradicated the populations of 3 asteroid colonies in under an hour. Entire species gone. It does not hunt for food, it hunts for thrills. Their voice crackles through the translator, sharp and urgent, like they're pleading with Jackson to understand. But Jackson, he leans closer to the hologram, scratching his chin. Are those floppy ears? Silas nearly chokes. Those are sensory crests tuned to electromagnetic frequencies. They can detect the neural impulses of a living creature from 60 kilometers away. Jackson tilts his head, smirking. Still looks like a fluffy wolf to me, a really big one. Silas stares, their neck slits pulsing faster, and you can almost hear them rethinking humanity's membership in the Pact. This is Jackson Cade, the guy who looks at a galactic nightmare and sees a puppy. But here's where it gets weird. Nexara 7 isn't just a prison, it's a lab. The Starfang, captured after a 2-year operation involving 13 species, is under observation. They lured it into containment not with weapons but with bait, something the Pact won't talk about. Now it's here in a dome shielded by energy barriers, rated for orbital strikes. Jackson's been roped into the interspecies behavioral study, mostly because humans are stubborn enough to volunteer for things like this. Why are we even here? He asks, standing and wandering toward the viewing window. Beyond it, the Starfang's habitat stretches a sterile plain of gray sand and artificial rocks, lit by harsh blue light. Silas's voice is tight. Your species insisted on participation. You are here to observe under strict parameters. Do not approach the barrier. Do not speak to it. Do not make eye contact. Jackson peers through the window. The Starfang is there, curled up tail, wrapped around its body, eyes closed. Looks like it's napping, he says, his breath fogging the glass. It is never asleep, Silas hisses. It pretends. Jackson glances back, one eyebrow raised. You're serious, aren't you? Silas doesn't answer, their fingers flying over a console, pulling up data streams that flicker with alien glyphs. Jackson turns back to the creature, and something about it pulls at him. The way it lies there, so still, so deliberate. It's not just a monster, it's waiting. "Can we try feeding it?" Jackson asks, half joking. Silas freezes, but before they can respond, the Starfang moves. Its eyes snap open pale amber, with pupils like shards of black glass. They lock onto Jackson, and the room feels 10 degrees colder. Silas whispers, "Step back." Jackson takes one step, then another, his boots loud against the metal floor. The Starfang rises, stretching its limbs with a grace that's almost hypnotic. It yawns, or maybe it's baring its teeth, rows of them, glinting like knives. It pads forward, each step silent despite its bulk, and stops inches from the energy barrier. Silas's voice is a low growl. It learns hunting techniques in seconds. It adapts to weapons. It cannot be sedated. Nothing has worked. Jackson doesn't move, his eyes fixed on the creature. The Starfang tilts its head, studying him. Then it sits, its tail swishing once against the ground. "Okay," Jackson says, his voice steady but soft. "That's not what I expected." Silas staggers back from the console, their bioluminescence flaring. It has never reacted like this. Jackson crouches, slowly ignoring Silas's choked protest. The Starfang mirrors him, lowering its massive head until it's level with his. Its crests twitch, and Jackson raises a hand, palm out, not touching the barrier. The creature leans in its nose centimeters from the shield. "Who's a good boy?" Jackson whispers, a grin tugging at his lips. Silas nearly screams. This is not possible. It has devoured fleets, entire armies. Why is it responding to you? Jackson stands slow and deliberate. Maybe it just needed someone to talk to. Or maybe... He pauses, his grin fading. Maybe it's playing me. The Starfang blinks its eyes, never leaving him, and the silence stretches like a taut wire. Over the comms, a new voice crackles. Dr. Myra Thal, lead xenobiologist, her tone sharp with excitement. "Jackson, that was unprecedented. We're scheduling you for another session. The Pact needs to know why it didn't kill you." Jackson glances at the Starfang, still sitting, still watching. "Yeah," he says, his voice low. "So do I." 3 weeks have passed since Jackson Cade crouched before the Starfang and didn't get his face torn off. Outpost Vinara, the sterile fortress orbiting Nexara 7, is buzzing with theories. Scientists are losing their minds, diplomats are rewriting protocols, and Jackson, he's back in the containment dome, standing in a reinforced chamber that looks like a bank vault crossed with a sci-fi torture room. The walls hum with secondary energy shields rated to stop a starship crash. Through the transparent barrier, the Starfang, now tagged as Subject 9, watches him, its teal fur glinting under the harsh lights. Those sensory crests, the ones Jackson called floppy ears, twitch slightly like it's listening to his heartbeat. Dr. Myra Thal's voice crackles through his earpiece, sharp and urgent. "Jackson, keep your distance. It's been docile with you, but don't forget, this thing's a biological weapon." Myra's a xenobiologist with dark circles under her eyes and a clipboard that's practically fused to her hand. She's been running tests non-stop, trying to crack why the Starfang sits calmly for Jackson but ignores everyone else. Jackson adjusts his suit, a skin-tight rig with vitals monitors blinking green, and extends a hand toward the barrier. The Starfang pads forward, silent as a shadow, and presses its massive head against the shield. "I think it wants to high-five," Jackson says, grinning. "Focus," Cade Myra snaps. "It's mimicking you. No growling, no lunges, just submission. That's not normal." Jackson shrugs. Maybe it's tired of being the bad guy. The Starfang's amber eyes meet his unblinking, and for a moment the room feels too small, like the universe is holding its breath. Myra's right, it's not a dog, but Jackson can't shake the feeling it's choosing to play nice. Then it happens. A low, bone-rattling klaxon tears through the outpost. Red emergency lights strobe bathing the chamber, in blood-red hues. Myra's voice cuts out, replaced by a robotic alert: containment breach. Power grid failure. All personnel evacuate to designated zones. Jackson's stomach drops. He spins toward the console, but its dead screens flickering with static. The energy barrier pulses erratically, its hum turning into a high-pitched whine. Beyond it, the Starfang rises its claws, flexing fur, bristling. "Oh crap," Jackson mutters. He bolts for the exit, boots pounding against the metal floor. The corridor outside is chaos: technicians, sprinting drones, buzzing alien researchers, shouting in languages his translator can't keep up with. Jackson's earpiece crackles back to life with Myra's voice, panicked. Jackson get to the evac bay. The Starfang's chamber is compromised. His mind races, compromised. That means the galaxy's worst nightmare is loose, and he's 3 decks away from safety. But something pulls him back. He skids to a stop, ignoring the shouts of a passing security drone, and turns toward the secondary containment wing. Call it instinct, call it stupidity. Jackson's not leaving without knowing. The secondary chamber is a war zone. Sparks rain from shattered conduits, and the air smells of ozone and burnt circuits. Emergency shields flicker, barely holding against the void of space beyond. Jackson stumbles through the debris, his suit's sensors screaming about dropping pressure. Then he sees it, the Starfang free, standing over 2 unconscious technicians. Its massive body shields them from a collapsing panel claws, digging into the floor to hold steady. Its eyes, those piercing amber orbs, lock onto Jackson, and it doesn't move. "Hey," Jackson shouts, his voice raw. The Starfang's crests twitch, but it doesn't attack. Heart pounding, he steps closer. "You remember me?" One of the technicians groans, stirring. The Starfang shifts, backing away, its tail low. Jackson kneels, checking pulses, both alive barely. He looks up, and the Starfang is still there, fur rippling like it's ready to bolt. "Let them go," Jackson says, softer now. "I'll help you." He doesn't expect it to listen, but the Starfang turns slow and deliberate and pads toward the corridor leading to the evac bay. Jackson hauls one technician over his shoulder, dragging the other, and follows. The outpost shakes, bulkheads groaning as the power grid fails further. Behind him, the Starfang moves like a ghost, never straying far. It's not hunting, it's escorting. At the evac bay, chaos reigns. Shuttles are prepping, diplomats shoving past researchers. Myra spots Jackson and rushes over, her face pale. "You're alive." How she freezes, seeing the Starfang looming behind him, its presence silencing the crowd. "It didn't kill anyone," Jackson says, panting. "It saved them." He nods to the technicians now being loaded onto a med shuttle. Myra's eyes dart to the Starfang, then back to Jackson. This changes everything. The Galathar Pact's security drones hover closer, weapons hot, but Myra raises a hand. "Stand down. We need a behavioral trial. Controlled exposure, no weapons. Jackson, you're the handler." Jackson blinks, adrenaline still spiking. "Handler, I'm not trained for this." Myra's lips twitch, almost a smile. "You're the only one it trusts." Hours later, the outpost stabilized. Jackson stands in a new containment dome on Nexara 7's surface. The air is heavy, recycled, with a faint metallic tang. The Starfang Subject 9 waits beyond a fresh barrier, its eyes fixed on him. Jackson steps forward, no suit this time, just his jacket and a stubborn streak. "All right, buddy," he says, extending a hand. The Starfang sniffs the air, then presses its head against the shield, a low rumble in its chest. Is it a growl? A purr? Jackson doesn't know, but he feels it. A connection, fragile but real. Jackson. Cade wakes to the sharp sting of antiseptic and the dull throb of broken ribs. He's in Outpost Vinara's medbay, a sterile box of blinking monitors and recycled air that smells like burnt wiring. His left arm is strapped in a high-tension sling, and every breath feels like a knife twisting in his chest. The last thing he remembers is fire, a plasma drone hacked by some xenophobic fringe group, exploding near the Starfang's dome. He was caught in the blast, and then darkness. A Thoron medtech, her fronds twitching, adjusts his IV. "You're lucky to be alive," she says, voice flat. "Your ribs are fractured in 3 places, hairline crack in your radius. You'd be ash if not for Subject 9. Jackson's eyes snap open. The Starfang. Where is it? The medtech hesitates, then nods to a screen. It dragged you to a pressure corridor, saved you, but it's been unresponsive since. Jackson forces himself to sit, wincing. Take me to it. Now. A week later, he's limping through Outpost Vinara's reinforced observation corridor, a mobility brace creaking with every step. The Starfang's dome is different now. Transparent crystallite walls curve high, mimicking its natural habitat with soft traction mesh and simulated starlight. Jackson leans against a composite wall, staring at a live feed. The Starfang Subject 9 sits in a corner, its teal fur scorched on one flank, crests drooping. It hasn't eaten, hasn't moved, not since it pulled him from the fire. You didn't let them patch you up, Jackson says, tapping the screen with his good hand. I'm still here, you know. The Starfang's crests twitch, just a flicker. Jackson ignores the Galathar medic hovering nearby, who gestures to a console. Use the interface to speak. Jackson shakes his head. If it wants to hear me, it will. He waits, breath fogging the screen. A minute passes, then the Starfang shifts, rolling its shoulder and turns. Its amber eyes catch the camera unblinking. Jackson smiles, pain be damned. You're mad I got hurt, huh? Because I told you to save the others. The creature blinks once, then again. You're not a weapon. That's what you're trying to tell us, right? Dr. Myra Thal's voice crackles over the comms, strained from sleepless nights. Jackson, we're setting up a behavioral lab. 15-minute sessions, you and Subject 9. The Pact's watching. Over the next days, Jackson visits daily, sitting in a chair that creaks under his brace. The Starfang mimics him, tilting its head when he does, shifting when he leans. On day 7, it brings a gift, a scorched triangular piece of drone metal, nudging it toward the camera. Myra's voice buzzes in his ear. Symbolic behavior, maybe a peace offering. Jackson leans closer. You didn't forget, did you? You're saying you've got my back. By day 12, they're walking together, Jackson along the corridor, the Starfang mirroring inside the dome, matching his pace, pausing when he ties his boot. The Galathar Pact's diplomats grumble, but the footage reaches their council. On day 20, Envoy Zethra, a Sinindari observer with scaled shoulders, hands Jackson a projection device. You're the interim communicative liaison, they say, crest twitching. This projects emotional tones, not words. 10-minute limit. Jackson steps into the projection chamber, air shimmering as the walls dissolve into a synthetic habitat. The Starfang stands 20 meters away, eyes locked on him. Hey, Jackson says, raising the device. A pulse of warmth spreads, and the Starfang lifts its head. I'm still here. You didn't fail. The creature pads closer, stopping just short of the boundary. You're more than what they say, and you know it. Jackson extends his hand. The Starfang lowers its head, pressing forward until their outlines touch the air between them. The projection flickers and Zethra's voice mutters, impossible. Jackson doesn't flinch. He feels it, a bond, not of control, but of choice. Weeks later, the Galathar Pact approves supervised public observation. The Starfang chooses a spot near the dome's viewing glass, tail flicking as alien children watch from a safe distance. Jackson visits daily, not to test, but to be there. Myra meets him outside, uniforms stained with nutrient gel. The Pact's calling this a behavioral shift driven by human interaction, she says, almost smiling. Jackson looks at the Starfang sprawled under starlight, calm in his presence. I just said hi, he says. Myra doesn't argue. And there it is, folks. The Starfang, the galaxy's ultimate predator, choosing peace over slaughter, all because one human saw it as more than a monster. This isn't just a story about survival, it's about what makes us human. We don't run from the unknown. We walk up, extend a hand, and say, let's figure this out together. Jackson Cade didn't tame the Starfang. He listened and it answered. That's the HFY way. We build bridges where others see only walls. So what's out there in the cosmos waiting for us to say hi? That's for you to dream about until our next tale. If this story hit you as hard as it hit me, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an HFY adventure. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Would you trust the Starfang? Share this with your crew, and let's keep exploring the stars together. Until next time, stay fearless, stay curious, and stay human.